The silver bracelet I had bought for my niece's graduation sat untouched in its velvet box on my dresser, next to the card I'd written 3 weeks ago but never got to give her. I stood there in my quiet apartment, phone still warm in my hand from the text I'd just read. Aunt Hazel, I'm an adult now. I don't owe you explanations about my life. Please respect my boundaries. Boundaries. That word stung more than any slap could have. This from the girl I raised from age 7, when my sister Rachel couldn't take care of her anymore. This from the child who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, who I taught to ride a bike, whose first day of high school I attended because her mother was too high to show up. I sank onto my bed, the bracelet box still in my hand. 22 years. That's how long I'd been Maya's mother in everything but name. And now, at 29, fresh out of graduate school with a master's degree I'd helped fund, she was teaching me about boundaries. It started so gradually I didn't notice the shift. Maya had always been my bright spot, my second chance at motherhood after my own daughter moved to Seattle and started a family I saw maybe once a year. When Rachel overdosed when Maya was 7, taking her in wasn't even a question. She was my blood, my responsibility, my joy. Those first years were hard but beautiful. Single woman in her 40s raising a traumatized child. We went to therapy together. I learned about attachment disorders and PTSD. I sold my 2-bedroom condo and bought a 3-bedroom house so Maya could have her own space and a yard. I cut back my hours at the architectural firm where I'd worked for 15 years. Maya thrived. Honor roll every semester, captain of the debate team, full ride to State University. I was so proud I cried at her high school graduation, clutching my camera as she accepted award after award. She hugged me that day and whispered, "Thank you for never giving up on me, Aunt Hazel." College was harder. Not academically, Maya excelled as always. But she needed things. Her scholarship covered tuition, but there were books, a laptop, fees, housing deposits. I paid for everything gladly. When she joined a sorority sophomore year, I paid those dues too. $300 a semester seemed steep, but she said it was important for networking. Junior year, she studied abroad in Italy. The program cost $8,000 beyond her scholarship. I took out a loan. Maya sent me photos from Rome, Florence, Venice. She looked so happy, so worldly. I pinned them to my refrigerator and showed everyone at work. But something shifted after Italy. Her calls became shorter, less frequent. When she came home for Christmas that year, she spent most of the time on her phone, texting people I'd never heard of. She mentioned a boyfriend, Derek, whose family had a vacation home in Aspen. She showed me photos of mountains and ski slopes I'd never see. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," I said, trying to connect. "Maybe we could plan a trip together sometime? I've always wanted to see Colorado." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Maybe. Derek's family kind of has their own thing going on during ski season." I pushed down the small hurt. She was growing up, finding her own way. That's what I'd worked so hard to give her. Opportunities I never had. Senior year, she stayed on campus for Thanksgiving. First time in 15 years we hadn't shared that meal together. She said the sorority was hosting a Friendsgiving and it would be awkward to miss it. I ate my turkey sandwich alone, looking at photos from previous years when our table had been crowded with her friends, laughter, life. When she graduated summa cum laude, I was there in the audience, waving my foam finger and cheering too loud. Maya waved back, but she didn't save me a seat at the reception. I stood on the edges while she posed for photos with friends and their families, with Derek and his parents who wore designer sunglasses and looked like they'd stepped out of a country club catalog. I waited 2 hours to take her to the dinner I'd planned, but she was already committed to Derek's family celebration. "I'm sorry, Aunt Hazel. I should have told you earlier. But you understand, right? His parents made reservations weeks ago." I understood. I always understood. I took myself to the nice restaurant alone and ordered the meal I'd planned to share with her. The waiter felt sorry for me, I could tell. Kept asking if I was waiting for someone. Maya moved to Chicago for a job in marketing. Starting salary, $73,000. She called to tell me, excited, talking faster than I'd heard in years. I was happy for her. Genuinely. But when I asked when she'd be coming to visit, there was a pause. "I'll have to see, Aunt Hazel. I'm using all my PTO for a trip to Thailand with Derek in the fall. Thailand? I repeated. That sounds amazing. I'm so proud of you, Maya. You've come so far. Thanks, she said, and I heard Derek's voice in the background. Listen, I have to go. We're apartment hunting. For the next 3 months, I helped with that apartment. First month's rent and security deposit, $4,000. She promised to pay me back once she got her signing bonus. The furniture her salary couldn't quite stretch to cover yet. Another $2,000. I depleted my emergency fund, but Maya needed a professional living space. She sent photos of the apartment once. Modern, minimalist, expensive looking. No photos of us anywhere that I could see. I didn't mention it. I still paid her phone bill. Had been paying it since she was 16 and needed a cell phone for safety. $95 a month didn't seem like much, but over 13 years, it added up to over $15,000. I did the math one night when I couldn't sleep. Her car insurance. I'd kept her on my policy because it was cheaper. $200 a month. Another $31,000 over the years. Her therapy during college when she had anxiety about her mother. $150 a session. Twice a month for 3 years. $10,800. The study abroad loan I was still paying off. 5 years at $200 a month. $12,000 total. $4,000 still outstanding. I wasn't keeping score. I told myself I wasn't. But at night, when my apartment felt too quiet and my phone stayed silent for days, the numbers ran through my head like a ticker tape. Then came the Sunday that changed everything. I called Maya to see how she was settling in, maybe suggest I visit Chicago for a weekend. The phone rang 6 times before she answered, and I could hear she was somewhere loud, music and voices in the background. Aunt Hazel, I'm kind of in the middle of something. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I just wanted to check in. We haven't talked in a while. I know. Work's been crazy. A pause. Listen, Derek and I are at brunch with his colleagues. Can I call you back? Of course. When works for you? Another pause. I'll text you. She didn't text. 3 weeks passed. I saw on Instagram, an account I'd learned to check since she rarely called, that she'd been to a concert, a rooftop party, a weekend trip to Michigan. She looked happy in every photo, surrounded by beautiful people I didn't know. I tried again. This time I texted first. Hi, sweetheart. Planning a trip to visit my friend Linda in Wisconsin next month. Chicago is on the way. Could I stop by for dinner? Would love to see your place in person. The response came 6 hours later. Actually, that weekend doesn't work. Derek's parents are coming to town. What about the weekend after? I typed. We have plans. I could do a weeknight? The 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times. Finally, Aunt Hazel, I appreciate everything you've done for me, but I need you to understand that I have my own life now. I can't just drop everything when you want to visit. I stared at that message for an hour. Drop everything? I'd asked for 1 dinner in 6 months. But I swallowed my hurt and replied, Of course, honey. I understand. Let me know when you have time. 2 months later, I tried a different approach. Maya posted about a terrible day at work, something about her boss being unreasonable. I called to offer support. Where are you going this weekend? I asked gently, trying to show interest in her life. The silence on the other end was arctic. Excuse me? I saw you mentioned you had weekend plans on your story and I thought, Aunt Hazel. Her voice was sharp in a way I'd never heard directed at me. I'm 29 years old. I don't need to report my whereabouts to you. I wasn't asking you to report. I was just making conversation. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're being controlling. The word hit me like a slap. Controlling. Me. The woman who'd given her everything, asked for nothing, never set a curfew she didn't agree with, supported every decision she made. Maya, I'm sorry if it came across that way. I just miss you and wanted to know how you're doing. Well, I'm doing fine. Great, actually. And I need space to live my life without feeling like I have to check in constantly. You haven't checked in at all, I said quietly. Not in 3 months. Because every time I do, you make me feel guilty. You have this way of making everything about you and what you've sacrificed. I didn't ask to be raised by you, Aunt Hazel. You chose that. The phone almost slipped from my hand. I chose that because I love you, because you're family. And I appreciate it. But that doesn't mean I owe you my entire life. I'm grown now. I have my own family with Derek. I'm not asking for your entire life. I'm asking for a phone call once in a while, maybe a visit. This is exactly the guilt trip I'm talking about. Her voice was rising now. I can't do this right now. I'm going out with friends. Where are you? I caught myself, but too late. I'm hanging up now. And Aunt Hazel, I think we both need some space. Please respect my boundaries and don't contact me unless it's an emergency. The line went dead. I sat there in my living room, the same living room where I'd helped her with algebra homework, where we'd built blanket forts, where she'd cried in my arms after her mother died. The photos on my walls showed our life together. First day of school photos, birthdays, holidays, graduations. In every single one, she was smiling. When had I become the villain in our story? That night, I went through my bank statements. 22 years of expenses. Not just the big things I'd already calculated, but everything. Dance classes when she was 8, summer camps, school supplies, clothes, the braces she'd needed. The senior trip to Washington, D.C. Birthday parties, Christmas presents, graduation gifts. The laptop I'd replaced twice. Books, always books because she loved to read. $167,000, give or take. I wasn't trying to tally a debt, but I needed to understand what I'd bought with all that money. Apparently, it wasn't love. It wasn't respect. It wasn't even the occasional phone call. I had bought her freedom from the life her mother's addiction would have given her. I had bought her opportunities, and she had taken them and run so far she couldn't even see me anymore. 3 months of silence passed. I saw her life continue on social media. She got promoted. She and Derek moved to a bigger apartment. They adopted a dog, a golden retriever she named Scout. She had time to post photos of the dog daily but couldn't text me back. Then my phone rang at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Maya's name on the screen. My heart leaped. Maybe she'd come to her senses. Maybe she missed me. Aunt Hazel? Her voice was strained. Maya. Honey, are you okay? I need to talk to you about something. A pause. Derek and I are getting married. My breath caught. Oh, sweetheart, that's wonderful. Congratulations. Yeah, thanks. She didn't sound happy. So, the thing is, we're doing a small ceremony. Just immediate family. His parents, his sister. Very intimate. The words hung in the air between us. I waited for the invitation that didn't come. I understand. I managed. It's nothing personal. We just want to keep it small. Nothing personal. I had been her person for 22 years, and this was nothing personal. When is it? Next month. April 15th. That's soon. Yeah, well, Derek's parents are paying for everything, and they want spring. His mom has very specific ideas. Of course they were paying. The people who'd known her for 3 years got to pay for her wedding. I, who'd paid for everything else, wasn't even invited. I'm happy for you, Maya. Thanks, Aunt Hazel. I knew you'd understand. After we hung up, I sat in the dark for hours. Then I did something I'd never done before. I looked up Derek's parents online. Charles and Vivian Whitmore. He was a surgeon. She was on the board of 3 charities. Their house in Connecticut was worth $2.3 million. They summered in Martha's Vineyard. They were the kind of family Maya wanted. The kind where you didn't have to remember where you came from because it was all so polished and perfect. I wasn't polished. I was the aunt who'd worked overtime to pay for dance class, the woman who'd sewn her Halloween costumes because store-bought was too expensive, the one who'd taught her that love meant sacrifice. Apparently, I'd taught her too well. She'd learned to take the sacrifice and forget the love. April 15th came. I didn't call, didn't text. I saw the photos on Instagram 3 days later. Maya in a designer dress, Derek in a tuxedo, the Whitmores beaming on either side. A small ceremony at a country club, maybe 40 people. Not immediate family, despite what she'd said. I recognized several of her sorority sisters. The caption, "Married my best friend surrounded by the people who matter most." The people who matter most. I closed Instagram and didn't open it again. 2 weeks later, my phone rang. Maya. Aunt Hazel, I need to talk to you about something important. No, hello. No, how are you? No apology for excluding me from the biggest day of her life. What is it, Maya? Derek and I are buying a house. That's great. Yeah, it's this amazing place in Evanston. 4 bedrooms, original hardwood, huge backyard for Scout. It's perfect. I waited. The thing is, we're a little short on the down payment. We need another $15,000. I was hoping you could help us out. Just a loan. We'll pay you back once Derek's year-end bonus comes through. The silence stretched. Aunt Hazel, are you there? I'm here. So, can you help? I know it's a lot, but you've always been there for me. Always been there for her. But where had she been for me? Maya, I can't. What do you mean you can't? I'll pay you back, I promise. I mean, I can't afford it. It wasn't entirely true. I had some savings, but something in me had snapped. But you helped with my apartment. And school. You always help. You're married now. You have a husband. You're an adult, as you reminded me. Adults pay for their own houses. I can't believe you're doing this. Her voice turned sharp. After everything we've been through, you're going to hold money over my head now? I'm not holding anything over your head. I'm simply saying no. Because I didn't invite you to my wedding? Is this some kind of punishment? The accusation hung there, so ridiculous I almost laughed. You're punishing me? I asked quietly. Maya, I raised you. I gave up dating, traveling, a bigger career, all to make sure you had stability. I paid for your entire life. I asked for nothing except to be part of it. And you cut me out the moment you didn't need me anymore. But sure, I'm the one punishing you. That's not fair. I needed space. For 6 months? You needed space from me for 6 months? Couldn't answer a text, couldn't make time for one dinner, but you had plenty of time for everyone else. I saw the photos, Maya. The parties, the trips, the brunch with Derek's friends. You had time for all of that, just not for me. I knew you were keeping track. This is exactly why I needed distance. You're suffocating. Suffocating. The word tasted bitter. I called once a month, Maya. Once. And you made me feel like a stalker for caring about your life. You want to know the truth? Her voice cracked. Every time I talk to you, I feel guilty. Guilty for having a good life. Guilty for being happy. Guilty for not being the broken little girl you saved anymore. You hold the past over my head like a weapon. I have never. You don't have to say it. It's in every conversation. Remember when I did this for you? Remember how hard I worked? Remember what I sacrificed? I can't breathe under the weight of everything you gave up for me. I felt like she'd reached through the phone and crushed my windpipe. I never wanted you to feel guilty. I wanted you to remember that someone loved you enough to choose you. Well, now I'm choosing myself. And if you can't support that without making me feel like I owe you my life, then maybe we do need space. Then take it, I heard myself say. Take all the space you need, but don't call me again asking for money. I'm done being your ATM. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking. In 22 years, I had never spoken to her that way. Never said no. Never pushed back. It felt terrible. And somewhere underneath the terrible, it felt like I could finally breathe. The calls came 2 days later. 7 voicemails from a number I didn't recognize. Then an email from someone named Jennifer Whitmore, Derek's sister. I remembered from the wedding photos. The voicemails were all the same. I needed to call them back urgently regarding Maya's well-being. The email was more direct. Miss Hazel, we need to discuss your recent behavior toward Maya and how it's affecting her mental health. Please contact me at your earliest convenience. I deleted them all. Then came the text from Derek. I don't know what your problem is, but Maya is crying every night because of you. You're her family. Act like it. I typed back, I did act like family. For 22 years, she told me she needed space. I'm giving it to her. His response came immediately. She needed space from your constant demands, not for you to abandon her when she needs help. She doesn't need help. She needs $15,000. There's a difference. You're seriously going to abandon her over money? After everything she's been through in her life? That hit a nerve he didn't know existed. What she's been through? I was there for every single thing she went through. Where were you? Oh, right. You met her when she was already put together, already successful, already healed from all the trauma I helped her process. You got the finished product, Derek. I did the work. He didn't respond to that. But 3 days later, I got a call from a lawyer's office. Judith Chen, attorney at law. She wanted to schedule a meeting regarding financial elder abuse allegations. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. Excuse me? Miss Hazel Thompson, yes? You're being accused of financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult by refusing to provide promised financial support and causing emotional distress through abandonment. By who? I'm not at liberty to say, but I can tell you the complaint was filed by a concerned family member on behalf of my client, Maya Whitmore, formerly Maya Torres. Maya had taken Derek's name. I hadn't even known. I haven't exploited anyone financially. If anything, I caught myself. We'd like to review all financial transactions between you and Miss Whitmore over the past decade. There are concerns about coercion and inappropriate loans made to a minor. I raised her. Every expense was legal and documented. I was her legal guardian. We'd still like to review. Can you come to our office Monday at 10? I hung up and immediately called my own lawyer, Patrick Morrison, who'd handled my will years ago. Hazel, slow down. They're accusing you of what? I explained everything. The money, the wedding, the phone call, all of it. Patrick was quiet for a moment. This is harassment, pure and simple. You have no obligation to meet with them. In fact, I'd advise against it. Can they actually sue me? For what? Not giving your adult niece money? No, this is a intimidation tactic. Someone's trying to scare you into compliance. It's working. Don't let it. Do you have documentation of your guardianship? Records of expenses? Everything. I kept every receipt, every school form, every medical bill. I was always afraid her mother's family would try to take her back. Good. Gather it all together. If they push this, we'll push back. But Hazel? This isn't really about the law. This is about control. Don't give it to them. I spent the next week gathering 22 years of documentation. The guardianship papers from when I was 38 and Maya was 7. The therapy bills, school records, every bank statement. The apartment lease I'd co-signed. The insurance policies with her name on them. Laid out like this, my whole life looked like a financial transaction. But between the numbers were memories that no spreadsheet could capture. The night she first called me Mom by accident and we both cried. The spelling bee where she won first place and ran into my arms. Teaching her to drive. Watching her walk across the graduation stage. Those weren't transactions. They were love. But to Maya, apparently, they were debts. Obligations. Chains she needed to break to be free. Patrick sent a letter to Judith Chen's office stating that I would not be intimidated, that I had broken no laws, and that any further contact would be considered harassment. He copied Maya on it. She called within an hour, sobbing. How could you get a lawyer? You're escalating this. Me? Maya, you sent a lawyer after me first. I didn't. That was Vivian, Derek's mom. She said you were being abusive and she wanted to protect me. Abusive. Because I won't give you $15,000. No, because you cut me off completely. You won't talk to me, you won't help me, you just disappeared. You told me you needed space. I gave you space. I didn't mean forever. I just meant I needed you to back off a little, not abandon me completely. I sat down heavily. Maya, you didn't talk to me for 6 months before the wedding. You didn't invite me to the most important day of your life. You called me suffocating and controlling. What exactly did you expect? I expected you to understand, to give me room to grow up. I did. I gave you all the room you wanted, and the minute you wanted something from me, you couldn't understand why I wasn't jumping to provide it. Because you always have before. You changed the rules. No, honey, you changed the rules. You decided I wasn't family anymore. You made that clear. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Explain it to me. Because I'm confused. Am I your family or not? Silence. Maya, you're my family, she said quietly. But it's complicated. Derek's family, they're so different from how I grew up. They're so normal. No drama, No addiction, no trauma. They have Sunday dinners and game nights, and everyone actually likes each other. And when I'm with them, I can pretend I came from that too. And where do I fit in that pretense? I don't know. That's what I was trying to figure out. By erasing me from your wedding, from your life? Vivian said it would be easier. A fresh start, she said, holding on to the past would just drag me down. And you listened to her. A woman you've known for 3 years, instead of the person who raised you. She doesn't come with all the baggage. There it was, the truth, finally. I was baggage. A reminder of the life she wanted to forget. Then consider the baggage dropped off, I said. I won't bother you anymore, Maya. I won't call, I won't text, I won't ask for anything. You can have your fresh start with the Whitmores. They can be your family now. That's not what I want. Yes, it is. You just don't want to say it out loud. But I'll say it for you. You want the family you think you deserved, the one without complexity or pain. And I'm a reminder that life isn't a country club brunch. So I'm removing myself from the picture. Aunt Hazel, please. I also won't be providing any more financial support. Consider this your fresh start in every sense. The phone bill? Getting transferred to your name tomorrow? Car insurance? You're 29 and married. You don't need to be on mine anymore. Figure out your own policy. The house down payment? The Whitmores can help with that since they're such good family. The loan I took out for Italy? I'll keep paying it, but don't worry, I won't mention it again. You're punishing me. No, Maya. I'm freeing you. Isn't that what you wanted? To be free from the weight of what I gave you? Now you are. I hung up. The next day, I transferred her phone to her own account. She called from a new number that night, screaming about how I'd violated her privacy by accessing her account. I reminded her it was my account. She hung up. The car insurance took longer, but I removed her the following week. She texted that I was being petty and cruel. I didn't respond. For 3 months, silence. I threw myself into work, took on projects I'd been putting off. I joined a book club, started going to a yoga class, made plans with friends I'd neglected while always being available for Maya's needs. My apartment felt quiet but not lonely anymore. It felt peaceful. Then, on a random Thursday, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Maya standing there, mascara streaked down her face, holding a suitcase. "He's having an affair," she said, and collapsed into my arms. I held her while she sobbed. This girl I'd raised, this woman I barely knew anymore. Part of me wanted to say I told you so. Part of me wanted to slam the door. But the biggest part of me just hurt for her pain. "Come in," I said. Over tea, the story came out. Derek had been sleeping with a coworker for months. She found out through a text on his phone. When she confronted him, he said she'd changed, become difficult, too dependent on her family, meaning the Whitmores. He wanted someone more independent. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. I left, Maya said. Took Scout and left. I went to Vivian's first. And? She said I was overreacting. That all men stray sometimes, that I needed to be more understanding of his stress at work. Maya laughed bitterly. She literally told me to lose 10 pounds and spice things up in the bedroom. Jesus. Yeah. So I came here. I know I don't deserve. You always deserve a place to stay, Maya. Always. That's not negotiable. She looked up at me, eyes red. After everything I said, you're still my niece. Still the little girl who I chose to love. That doesn't change because we're going through a hard time. I don't have anywhere else to go. I quit my job last month. Derek said I should focus on the house. All my money went into the down payment. I can't afford my own place right now. How much did you put down? $35,000. All my savings. And Derek? His name's the only one on the deed. His parents said it was better for taxes. I closed my eyes. Maya, I know. I'm an idiot. You're not an idiot. You're someone who wanted to believe in a family so badly you ignored red flags. She laughed again, harsh. Like daughter, like mother, I guess. We both chased the fantasy. I reached across the table and took her hand. You can stay as long as you need. I'll pay rent. Once I find a new job, we'll figure it out. That night, I made up the guest room. Maya's old room, really, since I'd kept it mostly the same. She saw the photos still on the walls, her debate team trophy still on the shelf. You kept everything. Of course I did. She started crying again. And this time, it wasn't about Derek. I'm so sorry, Aunt Hazel. For all of it. The wedding, the things I said, choosing them over you. I was so desperate to be someone different, someone without all the pain, that I convinced myself you were the problem. Vivian convinced you. I let her. Because it was easier than dealing with the truth. What truth? That my mom's addiction will always be part of my story, that I spent my childhood terrified and unstable, that you saved my life but you also remind me of where I came from, and I hate that I resent you for that. I pulled her into a hug. I know, baby. I know. You shouldn't forgive me. Probably not. But I'm going to anyway, because that's what love does. She stayed for 3 months. In that time, I watched her fall apart and slowly rebuild. She got a new job, started therapy again, filed for divorce. Derek fought her on everything, but my lawyer Patrick helped her pro bono after hearing her story. The Whitmores closed ranks around Derek. Vivian called Maya vindictive. His father said she was trying to trap their son. They painted her as a gold digger despite the fact that she'd never asked Derek for a dime, just me. Maya saw them clearly for the first time. They only liked me when I was grateful and quiet, she said one night over dinner. The second I had a need, I was the problem. Sound familiar? I asked gently. She met my eyes. I did the same thing to you. Yes, you did. I don't know how to make it right. You start by staying, by not running when things get hard, by answering the phone when I call, by being present. I can do that. And slowly, carefully, she did. She got her own apartment eventually, but she came for dinner every Sunday. She called during the week to tell me about her day. She sent me silly texts and memes. She remembered my birthday. On the anniversary of the day, she came to my door with her suitcase. She showed up with flowers and a card. Inside, she'd written, "Thank you for loving me when I was unlovable. Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself. Thank you for being my family even when I tried to trade you in. I'm done running from where I came from. You are my home." Below that, a check for $15,000. Maya, you don't have to. It's not about have to. It's about want to. I want to pay you back, not for everything. I know I can never do that, but for the house that I never bought. For the fresh start you gave me twice. For choosing me, always. I hugged her tight. My girl, my niece, my greatest heartbreak, and my biggest joy. I choose you too, I whispered. Always have, always will. Later, she told me something that Derek had said during their divorce mediation. He'd claimed she was too damaged, too needy, too tied to her tragic past. His lawyer had suggested she needed therapy to let go of her trauma. Maya had looked at Derek and said, "My trauma made me who I am. And the woman who helped me through it taught me what real family looks like. It's not country clubs and perfect photos. It's showing up when things are hard. You failed that test. She never did." I framed that card she gave me, put it next to the photos of us through the years. 22 years of loving someone who didn't always love me back. But who learned, eventually, what I'd been trying to teach her all along. That family isn't about where you come from, it's about who stays. And we both finally stayed.